Recording started. Okay, lovely. It's a kind of a warmish night, isn't it? It has been, but definitely feels like it needs a good rain. So take it easy, especially if your room is pretty warm. But do what you can. So we're going to come to starting because we're going to be working these inner thighs. We're going to take it into a nice kind of open stance position, and we'll just take it into a bit of a turned out at the toes, and that in turn turns out the shins and the thighs, and it opens up the front of the pelvis. So let's just focus in on that pelvis by starting with some pelvic tilts. So when you're ready, just begin tucking your tail underneath and sending your tail behind you. Good evening, Emma. Lovely to see you. Okay, so just working in a nice wide stance, toes turned out 10 to 2, and start to create some movement around your lower back and pelvis. And as you move, we're just going to focus in on breath work. So a nice deep connection just to settle everything down. Especially, busy days, we kind of find that we come home carrying all that tension. Everything's on overdrive, so let's just try and slow things down. Nice inhalation, bring your breath right down to the bottom of your lungs, and then a slow exhale. I'm going to leave you just to work on that for a little bit longer. Maybe you're closing your eyes, moving and breathing. Okay, we're going to use this next one to sort of find that neutral spine position. So tucking the tailbone under ever so slightly. So we've got a fairly flat back, okay. Toes out, rotate the thighs open as well. So we've got that open rotation with the knees. So the knees are kind of pointing to the corners of the room. We try and keep that knee position. Little draw in of the tummy, keep the back nice and flat as we slowly lower down. And then we're going to swap that tummy for pelvic floor. So gently draw in through the pelvic floor as we slowly push back up. So nice one to connect in with core. Okay, so reset, tummy gently drawn to spine, open the hips, slide down the wall, press the knees apart, really feeling that pull through here. Pause at the bottom, then tighten your back passage and push up to stand. Okay, can we keep going with these? So we're just warming up to begin with, taking them super slow, sliding down, tightening your pelvic floor and pushing up, okay? And it's really no worry about how deep you go. Focus on the position of your knees. So as you come down, are your knees drifting inwards, or can you squeeze them apart a little bit more? Beautiful. Okay, 4 more like this, breathing deeply still. Legs should be warm already. If not, go a little bit deeper. But I still want you to focus on that contraction of your deeper muscle system. So tummy to spine as we go down, keeping you in a nice flat back position. And then pelvic floor as we lift up. We've got 3 more. Two more. Good stuff. So nice and slow with this last one. And then we're going to pick the pace up a little bit. So you've got 1 more, slowly down. And slowly up, opening out the hips. Adding the arms in now. So dumb waiter, we come open and close. Little quicker now. So slight change with how the muscles are working. Really important to kind of vary up the way that we use our muscles. Slow, fast, because that is how we use our muscles day to day, isn't it? So we need to create as much variation to help with our functional tasks, but keep that technique the same. So tummy to spine, pelvic floor to come up. Keep your back nice and flat, shoulders down, neck nice and long. These are perfect. We've got 3 more. Breathing through, 2 more. Then we open and squat and hold from here. So it's up to you. You can do a pelvic floor hold or a tummy hold, whatever feels like you need that internal support. Okay, then we're going to take 1 arm and we're going to lengthen out to the side, dropping the shoulder as we lengthen, drawing the elbow back in, push back up to stand. Okay, so holding that squat a little bit now as we take the other arm away, drawing back in, pushing back to stand. Keep it going. So squat, lengthen, fold, and stand. Good stuff. Let me see how you're getting on with that. Remember, the depth of your squat is with whatever works for you. A bit of a coordination one here. Beautiful. Nice squats, everybody. We've got 2 more. Forgot what we were doing then. And 1 more. Okay, now we stay down. Open out into your dumb waiter. Draw tummy to spine or lift through pelvic floor. Exhale, stretch the hands apart. Inhale, draw them back. Exhale, we go again. Inhale, draw back. Keep going with your breath. So we lengthen the hands apart. As the hands separate, try not to let the shoulders creep up. It's all about drawing the shoulders down, creating length through the neck as we hold this squat. Legs should be getting wobbly. If you need to stand at any point, come back up, take a breath and reset. Those that want that little bit more, as we add that lengthen through the arms, we're going to add a heel raise. So tiptoes and heels, tiptoes and heels for 6, for 5. Keep breathing, working hard. 4, 3, 2. Now, whichever option you're going, we're going to lengthen the hands away. Maybe the heels are lifted, maybe not. Turn the palms down and we pulse here. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. Go a bit lower if you can. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Well done. Whoa. Slowly up to stand. Wobbly legs for me on that one. Okay, keeping your feet wide, but turning the feet forwards. Okay, so if you were with me on Thursday, we worked a little bit on this concept of a hip hinge. We're going to do the same, but with wide legs today. So good for the hamstrings, but also feeling it in the inner thigh. So I'm just going to turn side on. Okay, so you're going to imagine you've got a door behind you and keeping your back flat. So you're going to shut the door with your bottom. Now, as you come forwards, draw your tummy towards your spine, flat backs. Whoa, feel that stretch through the back of the body, down into these legs. Okay, now push your hips forwards and come back up to stand. Breathe in to prepare, breathe out, slowly hinge at the hips, lower, lower, lower. Chest lowers down to the floor, but keep your back straight. Don't let the head hang down. Imagine that you've got a pole going up your spine. It's going to keep your spine in that same alignment. So flat back, hip hinge for a really good stretch. Keep those hands by your side and draw your elbows behind you as you come back. So you're keeping a little bit of tension through the upper back, and use that core to keep your back flat as well. So tummy drawn to spine. Really work on that exhale as we come down for 4 more. Maybe you're able to go a little bit lower. Maybe these are tricky. Just coming to a horizontal position though, no deeper. 3, and that slow controlled lowering really requires a lot of muscle work in your back. 2, we hold this next one, so flat back hold. Okay, if you want to make it a little bit harder to load the spine up a little bit more, we're going to extend the arms out to the side. Palms are facing down, shoulders away from the ears, horizontal arm line, open legs, flat back, looking down to the floor, but don't let the head hang down. Real deep stretch now through the back of the legs, yeah, for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lovely. Tricky to stay down there, isn't it? Okay, come back up to stand. Give those hips a shake. We're not quite done with this wide stance. Now we're going to add a little bit of a stretch through one side as we load up the other leg. So hands placed back on the hips now as we bend into one leg, stretch into the other, back to the center, up and over to the second side. Okay, so feeling that inner thigh stretch as we come over and load up the second leg. Try and keep the back straight, so nice long spine, tail tucked under, maybe working pelvic floor, maybe working deep tummy, maybe working a combination of the two. And then if you're happy, you've got that lovely stability, we're going to add some arms. So as we come down to one side, we lift through the arms and we lower. Same side, then we come over to the second side, okay? Lift and lower, shoulder blades always driving down as hands float up. Lift and lower. Beautiful. Okay, now for those of you that want a little bit more, you've probably worked out as we come up with the hands, we raise the heel off the floor, coming into the tiptoes, back down with the hand, down with the heel, up and over. Two more on both sides. Watch those shoulders don't creep up with your ears, keep your neck nice and long. One more on each side. Well done. Now we're going to hold this next one. So hands above the head, bending into one knee, straightening into the other. Maybe add the heel raise, maybe not. Long necks, shoulders down. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Now keep the hands lifted, stretch out through the leg and then over to the second side. Reset, then maybe add the heel raise. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lovely. Back to the center. Arms come down and then we take it into a wide leg roll down. Final standing exercise. Last chance to work these hamstrings in standing with the inner thighs. So begin with your breath, and then when you feel settled into a nice low steady flow of breath, we slowly roll down through the spine. Take your time, one bone at a time. Enjoy that slow movement. Now you might find that your balance is a little bit affected, so just be steady when you get to the bottom. Beautiful, and stack back up again. Nice work. Okay, when you get to the top, simply repeat. Slow flow, roll down. We'll do a couple more. As you come down, try to not push into your heels too much. Try and keep your hips forwards. Temptation is to kind of push back as you come down, but let's see if we can keep those hips in line, stacked over the feet. Tricky though. One more. Good work. Really nice chance just to get a bit of a stretch into the back of your legs. Holding this last one. Head hang down, arms heavy, draping down in front of you. 3, 2, and 1. Lovely. Now you can come back up to stand, or you can walk your feet together from where you are. Bend your knees, and we're going to come down onto the mats. Now take it into a rest position, so lying on your back. Okay, we're going to start though today slightly different with the feet together. So rather than working in our usual position with the feet hip distance apart, we just take it into a nice closed position. So feet and knees pressed together, and you can actively press your knees into one another if you want. Gives you a little bit of inner thigh work. Still got this focus on inner thighs, but we're going to come back to those inner thighs because we're going to work the core now. So a little bit of our abdo prep or our sit-up work, interlacing the fingers and supporting the head, create that cradle, and then float your elbows up just so you can see them in your peripheral gaze. breathing in to prepare, breathing out, draw your tummy towards your spine as you slide your rib cage down towards your waist, floating your head and shoulders off the mat. Keep that space between your chin and your chest, and then slowly lower back down again. Breath in to prepare, breathe out, tummy to spine, slide the rib cage down to the pelvis, float the head and shoulders off the mat, and then lower back down again. Slow and steady, but really focusing on that technique. I've only done 3 and I'm feeling that in my tummy already because I'm really using that connection, ribs to pelvis, flattening the rib cage into the mat to allow my head and shoulders to just float away from the floor, not pulling on the neck, not overusing the muscles of the neck. It's all about the core. And remember, it doesn't matter how high your shoulders come off the mat. It's just about using that connection. If you want a little bit more, bring your legs into tabletop, keep them there, double tabletop, and just carry on with your head and shoulders lift. Now that is quite a big step up. So if the tabletop isn't for you, then just work with your feet connected into the floor because we have got a couple more things to work on. We're going to do about 4 more from here. I'm just going to come and quickly check in on those of you that I can see. Beautiful, Isabel, that looks great. Well done, Pat. Emma, looks like you got your feet in tabletop. Well done. Nice work. And Will and Joe, good stuff. Mum and Moona, I'm sure you're doing a great job there. And Paul, if you're around too. Okay, final one. And then just take yourself into a little knee hug to allow yourself a moment just to pause. Okay, we're going to repeat 8 to 12 of those. So it depends how many you get through. Feet going to be together on this one, but the knees are going to come apart. So we're just coming into that kind of frog open leg position. First option with the feet on the ground. Now check in on what happens with your pelvis when you do that. Naturally, the weight of our legs, our pelvis wants to arch. So try to avoid that. And you're not going to be able to use your tummy muscles if your back's arched. So pressing down into the mat as the knees open up. There's option 1. Option 2 in double tabletop. So the feet are together, but the knees come apart. So we kind of got this nice open hip position with the feet lifted. And then we bring our abdo prep back in again. So cradle the head, slide the rib cage down, exhale and lift, inhale and lower. Keep it going, 8 more or thereabouts. And if you've taken it into one option and you feel like you want to go to another, feel free to switch up in between. Try and make those hips as open as possible by squeezing your bottom. Notice how as you clench your bottom gently, your knees prise apart. Oh, keep it going. 4 more. Keep the neck relaxed, make the tummy do all the work. 3 more. Use that drawing of your tummy to spine to set the foundation for 2. And then we finish with 100. So feet on the floor, knees apart, head lifted, or feet in tabletop, knees apart, head lifted. Release your hands supporting your head, and we pulse here for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lovely. Bring those knees in and give them a hug. Good stuff. Nice mid kind of core and hip work there. Okay, a little bit of a rock forwards and backwards on your lower back, and bring yourself up to sit and then round to kneel. So some high kneeling work, a little bit of movement and flow. Nice one for opening things up. I'm just going to adjust my camera. Okay, so you're going to be kneeling nice and high. Feel free if you're on like a hard floor just to kind of pad your knees out a little bit. You can roll your mat back, use a towel or something, pillow or something like that. Now take a glance down at the positioning of your knees. Make sure they're hip distance apart, and make sure you're not kind of sitting back to your heels as well. So just gently squeeze the bottom to come forwards. In this position, we'll just do a few pelvic tilts, which again feels different because we've kind of closed that knee position down. So the muscle that runs across the thigh and into the patella, the kneecap, and just below the knee is affected now. So that pelvic tilt just feels slightly different. Okay, then we find that neutral spine and we hold. Okay, good one for core and shoulders now. So breath in to prepare, breathe out, tummy to spine. Keep that gentle tension as we float the arms up. Super simple, but I really want you to focus on tummy to spine and shoulders sliding down the back as the hands come up and down. And imagine you're holding a beach ball. Maybe you're on a nice sandy beach doing some beach Pilates or Chippilates, as Will's mum calls it. Good. Okay, 4 more. Float that beach ball up, but with control. Keep that core really engaged. It could be such a simple movement, but because we're focusing on adding in that drawing of the tummy and those shoulders aren't creeping up, we're really working all those stabilizing muscles, it becomes a lot harder. We've got 2 more, but you make it look so effortless. Well done. Tummy gently drawn in, tail gently tucked under, and we hold this next one. So make sure the rib cage hasn't flared up as well. So we're keeping that nice neutral spine, okay? So we want to avoid tilting of the tail and flaring of the ribs. So tuck under here and flatten the ribs down as the hands come up and over. Okay, now keeping that lovely length through your spine. Breathe in, and as you breathe out, just slowly tilt over to one side, feeling the ribs separate from the pelvis. Come back to the centre and over to the second side. Now try and keep your body as flat as possible. It's not a twist, it's a side bend. Pushing into the opposite hip, so really feeling that stretch through the side of the body. Well done, everyone. Looks good. Okay, now you can stay here. If you want a little bit more, as we stretch over to the left, the right-hand side, sorry, the left leg is going to extend out to the side. Long leg, back to the centre, fold the leg back in and swap over. Try and keep your body as flat as possible. So take note of where your foot lands. Is it in line with your body? A little bit of lateral glute work. You might feel it in your hips just to hold your leg out there. And if you don't like the leg, just work on the arms. Beautiful. Now we're going to go over to the same side. So if we all go over to the right, maybe with the left leg extended, and we hold. Keep holding, tummy to spine. Keep holding nice and long through those arms, through that leg. Keep holding. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Now come back to the centre and keep your foot where it is. Hands are now going to come down onto the mat. So maybe with the leg out straight, maybe with the leg tucked behind, okay? And then we're just going to push back into the heels. So either just a normal shell stretch or a shell stretch with that added lengthened leg. Now feeling that deeply on the inner thigh. Maybe you want to add a little push to the right hand side with the hands, so you're twisting away from that long leg. Maybe you've not added that leg, it's really up to you. 3, 2, and 1. Lovely, back to the centre. And just ease out of that leg, ease out of that knee, come back up to kneel. Okay, we take that over to the second side. So knees come back in together, arms come up, over to the left, maybe with the right leg extended, and we hold. Watch those shoulders, watch the head, make sure it's still in line with the body. Nice long shoulders so I can see your necks. Good, keep holding. 3, 2, and 1. Back to centre with the arms, and then push back into your left heel, hands come down, and we stretch. Now maybe we walk the hands over to the left. And then we come back to the centre and sit back up again. Okay, we're all going to just take it into a normal shelf stretch now, but this time with the knees wide. So feet gently pressed together, knees apart, and push back into your heels. So similar to that position we were doing with our sit-ups earlier, and just pause into here. Okay, then walking your hands towards you, coming up to sit. So we're going to finish with some work in our box position, working the outer hips, but we've unlocked the inner hips now, so that should help with our range of movement. Okay, so we're going to do our fire hydrants or dog peeing up the lamppost. I'm not quite sure what the professional name for them is, but that one always works for me. So when you're ready, you're in your box position. Okay, you've got your head lifted, shoulders down, tail nice and long, tummy drawn to spine. We'll all work on the left leg to begin with. So keeping your back nice and stable, start to float your left leg out to the side without twisting, and bring that leg back in again. Same side repeats, okay? So lengthen out to the side and draw back in. Keep your back flat and keep your tummy active. That's going to be the key. It's not about how high that leg comes. You can lift your leg quite high, but look what happens the more you lift your leg, you can add a twist. So it's not about that. It's about the stability in your back as we lengthen and lower. And for those of you that want that little bit more, we're going to stretch that foot out to the side, same as we did earlier, and we're going to lift and lower. Long leg lever, a lot harder. Probably can't feel much movement. I can't at all. This is a tough one for me. So if you find that the leg being long is too hard, then just shorten that knee again. We've got 4 more. 3 more. Well done, everyone. 2 more. And see if you can muster up the energy to add a hold. So either with the knee bent or the leg straight for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lovely, come back in. Quick stretch in between, so just sit back into your heels. Super tough. Nothing at all complex with the movements, but that doesn't mean that they're easy. Okay, so really trying to isolate your lateral hip muscles there with a nice stable spine. Over to your second side. Maybe you saved second best till last, which is definitely the case for me. Right hip definitely stronger than the left. Okay, so let's all just set up heads, shoulders, tail tucked under, tummy to spine, and begin just with the knee bent, floating the outer side of the leg towards the ceiling, out to the side, and then up. And we just repeat on that same side. Let me come and see how you're getting on. We're nearly done. Last little push. I know these are tough, but you make them look so good. Well done, everyone. Lovely technique. Just a little focus on the position of your head. If you had a helium balloon attached to the back of your head, just pump a little bit more helium in it. Allow your head to lift up. And then for those of you that want that little bit more, we lengthen the foot out to the side, and then we lift and we lower. Lift and lower. Maybe you're going to give it a go. Maybe you're going to do 1 or 2 and then decide that 1 or 2 is more than enough for you, and then go back to that bent knee. But we've got 4 more. 3 more. 2 more. And then we hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lovely, come back in. Feet together, knees apart, and just once more, sit back into those heels. And if you can, let your head rest onto your mat. And if you can't, just support your head in your hands. And breathe here. It's giving you a moment just to breathe. Enjoy it. Okay, walking your hands towards you, bringing yourself up to sit. Unless you want to stay there, if you're enjoying it, stay there by all means. So restorative. Oh, good work, everyone.